time for the best coverage of the top stories in sports. The Sports Wrap with Jason Page starts now.
Indeed it does, and great to have you with us on this Tuesday edition of the show. Plenty to do over the next 60 minutes. Dennis Bernstein drops by later in the show because we haven't talked with him since the start of hockey season. Couple of landmark moments. One has happened, another about to happen for the sport. We'll talk about those and what's going on over the first month of the season. But we start things out in Major League Baseball, and we're all a little blary-eyed, and nobody wants to come on the show today because they're all sleeping in after the Dodgers' 6-hour and 39-minute Game 3 win in 18 innings over the Blue Jays, 6-5, capped off by Freddie Freeman's walk-off home run in the 18th. After what? Will Klein throws 4 shutout innings, throws 72 pitches, and puts up the performance of a lifetime. So many heroic efforts. I hate using that word, but so many heroic efforts for the Dodgers in this game, from Shohei Ohtani reaching base all 9 times. Borrow Ferris Bueller, 9 times. I mean, there's so many angles on this game, Sam. I'll just start with missed opportunities for both teams, but the base running errors for the Blue Jays in this game, really too many outs on the base paths. And the other thing I'll point out is you get into extra innings, you're without Alejandro Kirk, you're without Bo Bichette, and you're without George Springer. I kept saying it. There wasn't anybody other than Vladdy who you knew they were going to kind of pitch around. There wasn't anybody other than Vladdy that was going to be able to pick up the hit that was going to deliver a win for them when you start getting into the deep waters of the extra innings of this game.
Yeah, and I mean, the Springer injury is tough, and you heard what John Schneider said after the game. It doesn't sound very good on the George Springer front, and that is the biggest possible loss, maybe outside of Vladimir Guerrero Jr., but I might even argue that Springer more so than Vlad, just because he's the only position player on that entire roster with any semblance of postseason experience. And oh, by the way, he's one of the greatest clutch World Series hitters of all time. So yeah, not having him going to be more of a death sentence to them than, I mean, it already has been after how these last 2 games in this series have played out. Your heart breaks for Toronto, but at the same time, you appreciate the greatness. At least I do. There are tons and tons and tons of people out there who are refusing to still, but you appreciate the greatness of what we are seeing in the Dodger blue this season. Not only do you have a future Hall of Famer in Shohei Ohtani doing something that's only been done once in any baseball game ever before, and it was in 1925, so 100 years in any professional baseball game since a human being has reached base 9 times. And then, oh, by the way, you have first ballot Hall of Famer Freddie Freeman come up in the bottom of the 18th inning and become the only player in baseball's 200-year history to hit multiple walk-off World Series home runs. It is just ridiculous. The history that comes with this Dodgers team that we are just privy to see week in, week out, day in, day out, World Series in and World Series out. I just feel lucky that I got to witness such a magical moment, such a monumental moment in baseball history last night.
Wow. Delivery of glazed donuts to Sam's place this morning. My God. Could you wax on any more? My heavens. I mean, look, it's a phenomenal game. I'm not going to go so crazy as you did, because at the end of the day, you do ask yourself this question. Is it one game? Is it one game? So many times in sports, especially in, of all sports, baseball, you hear this. It's one game. Momentum is the next day's starting pitcher. And boy, is that going to be true for both of these teams, with Ohtani and Bieber going in Game 4 of this series on Tuesday night. I still wonder. I mean, if anybody can bounce back from this, it feels like it's the Blue Jays. But I mean, their bullpen is going to be in tatters. Obviously, the Dodgers bullpen is going to be in tatters as well. I mean, I don't know where we go from here in this series, and I think it's going to be fascinating to watch because there's not a lot of blueprints for what happens day after a game like this. Obviously, there was, the game that happened, 7 years ago or whatever, with involving this same Dodgers team. I'm anxious to see. I kind of was feeling like I was going to wake up this morning and the air was going to come out of the balloon for me, and everything else that happened in this series was going to feel anticlimactic. I actually don't feel that way. I'm kind of anxious to see what happens tonight and how it all unfolds. Can I throw one more thing in real quick? Because we're going to talk about overreactions from sports leagues coming up in a little later on in the show with this NBA sports betting controversy. I hope, and maybe I don't hope, that baseball overreacts. Is there going to be an overreaction to what we saw in that game last night? And in the offseason, are we going to hear the cries for ghost runner, extra innings, even in the postseason? I have a sense that rallying cry is going to come because what happened last night, in some regards to some people, was probably unwatchable at some point with 10 innings and nobody scoring. To the purists like me, and I don't know about you, but to the purists like me, we love it. But at the same time, it's 2:30 in the morning on the East Coast and they're finishing this game. And Rob Manfred's not going to like that, Sam.
But at the same time, Jason, Major League Baseball and that game specifically is leading every show everywhere and on the front page of every single newspaper this morning. The hypothetical newspaper, right? I know those don't exist anymore or whatever. But that is what Rob Manfred wants. He wants to keep baseball relevant. And when you have one of these games every 7 years, as we're trending towards doing, it keeps baseball, it brings people in. People want this weird thing to happen once every 7 years. If it becomes a normal thing, if World Series games are going to extra innings left and right, yeah, I think they'd think about it. But if it's just once every 100 World Series games that we're playing, I think people will be fine with that.
But does it ruin the rest of the series is what I'm worried about.
Only for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, I mean, it could ruin it for both teams. If Ohtani goes 3 innings tonight, the Dodgers are screwed. And I know you don't think that's going to happen, but it could. I mean, it all depends on what you get out of these starters tonight with Bieber and Ohtani. It'd be fun to watch. All right, from Major League Baseball and the marathon game to the NFL and the Chiefs handling business at home. We'll get to it next. Welcome back to this Tuesday edition of SportsWrap. Overreaction or measured reaction, it depends on who you are, I guess, from all leagues when it comes to this NBA gambling, sports betting controversy that we're still sort of wrapped up in. We'll get to that coming up in about 10 minutes on the show. I promise tomorrow I have an NBA topic I want to bring up that kind of intersects with baseball that I want to do on the show tomorrow. That is a tease for tomorrow's show that I've wanted to talk about since like Saturday. But we literally just don't have enough time in a 1-hour show sometimes to talk about. What, do you know what I'm going to say, or is that why you're nodding
your head? No, I'm very excited, though. I can't. You know me, I love talking ball. I can't wait.
All right, fair enough. Kurt Heelan on the show tomorrow, by the way. Pro Basketball Talk at NBCSports.com. And Diana Rossini from The Athletic joins us as well to talk about all things NFL. All right, Monday Night Football, Sam. It goes the Chiefs' way. A game that was 7-7 at the half before the Chiefs opened things up in the second half. They win 28-7. Patrick Mahomes with 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions in this game. One on a tip on a ball that Travis Kelce should have caught. The other on a great play by Lattimore. But, I mean, look, the Chiefs are 5-3. Reports of their demise greatly exaggerated as they still sit, I think, in a comfortable position now at 5-3. Feeling confident, looking confident, offensively again, especially in the second half of this game. They kind of put it together. Granted, the Commanders are banged up. They're playing with Marcus Mariota, and we have to take all these things with a grain of salt. But from 0-2 and where they were entering week 3 of the season to where the Chiefs are now, Sam, they have to be feeling much better about themselves. And I said this last night. I don't know if they're going to win a Super Bowl. Here's the one thing I can say with absolute certainty. There is not a team in the AFC, whether you are the Colts, whether you are the Bills, or anybody else who makes it, the Broncos, nobody wants to play this version of the Chiefs in the playoffs.
Yeah, we'll see if we get this version of the Chiefs in the playoffs. I mean, we know the individuals on this team and their propensity to not be able to stay on the field, but that's Patrick Mahomes' tendency to get injured around week 18 or maybe the wild card round of every season, but somehow be able to play through it. Listen, this is not your father's Chiefs. This is not your brother's Chiefs. This is not the Chiefs of the last 7 years. This is not that same team. And you saw another big glimpse of it in the first half of that game against a backup quarterback and a bottom 7 defense in the NFL. Luckily, they have coaches that have been around the NFL combined like 150 years, and they know how to make the adjustments necessary against a lackluster defense in Washington that was, like Jason said, very banged up, starting a couple of practice squad guys. Patrick Mahomes does not look like the Patrick Mahomes of old. I mean, you mentioned the interceptions. The Travis Kelce interception should not count against Mahomes because that was, Travis Kelce, like you said, Jason, has to catch that ball. God. Hit him right between the two numbers.
Played well the rest of the game, though. Got to give him that. He played well the rest of the game. 6 for 99 and a score.
But Mahomes he just doesn't look as comfortable as he has his entire career.
Opposite. He
standing behind that Chiefs offensive line.
I think
he's taking sacks that he's never taken before. He's getting hurried out of the pocket by I'm sorry. You guys know that I'm a Commanders fan. I'm high on this Commanders team. A subpar Washington front four who was injured and beat up and missing their best player hurried Mahomes out of the pocket at times where he didn't even need to be. I'm not ready to write, as everybody seems convinced that this third place in their division Chiefs team is bound for the AFC title game. I'm just not as convinced. They get a good win in the second half over a bad football team using their backup. I don't know why everyone's sold down the river again about Kansas City.
All right, Mahomes got sacked 3 times in this game. I actually disagree with you. I see a guy who looks actually much more comfortable and is finally, I think, at peace with sort of where this offensive line is. I see him still being able to make plays with his legs on the run. He still looks comfortable in that regard. I'm not seeing the same thing that you're seeing right now when it comes to Patrick Mahomes. I do agree with you on this. This is a different Chiefs team. It is a different Chiefs team. It does feel like it's built more around the sum parts than it has been in the past. That's the one thing I will acknowledge when I watch this team, that they need much like we talk about the Niners and health has crippled the Niners this year. This Chiefs team needs to stay healthy. If they stay healthy, it's all right in front of them. You can talk about third place all you want. They have another game against the Chargers. They've got 2 against the Broncos. Not to sound like Aaron Boone here, but it's all right there in front of the Kansas City Chiefs. They still control their own destiny, even if you want to talk about a team that's in third place. And I'll say it again. I will still go on resume. I will still go on pedigree. I will still go on track record. And it's why Colts fans are hammering me on my TikTok today, because they're all saying, how can you pick the Chiefs to beat the Indianapolis Colts when the Colts are 7-1? It's because I've seen Daniel Jones in the postseason, and I've seen Patrick Mahomes in the postseason, and I've seen what this Chiefs done when it comes to rallying the troops when we get to the playoffs, and I've seen what Indianapolis has been. Well, he's only beaten Indianapolis once in his entire time. Look, if you want to pick against the Chiefs, you do it at your own peril, because they have shown time and time again, it ain't going to be pretty. Like you said last night, the first half of that game, I turned it off at halftime to go iron some clothes. Yes, I was ironing clothes last night. And all I could think to myself is, Sam, what is going on here? It's 7-7. I mean, they looked lackluster going into the half. And in the second half, they opened up the can of whoop ass. I mean, that's essentially what you got in the second half from the Chiefs. And by the way, let's not kill Marcus Mariota. I thought he did about as well as he could. And he's probably capable of starting for some NFL teams right now, as far as backups are concerned. You wouldn't start him in Cleveland? You wouldn't start him in Cleveland?
I'd start him in Cincinnati first. I think Marcus Mariota was good, right? And I think that there's a conversation that needs to be had again about this Chiefs defense that everyone's hanging their hat on. Marcus Mariota just looked like he tore him up for about 3/4 of that game. So yeah, I think Marcus Mariota could start, but only for like 2 teams, maybe.
The guy could still. I still think he could play though.
One of the better backups.
Yeah, he really is. All right, we're coming back. Some NBA sports betting talk next. Welcome back to the show. I lied. We're not doing the NBA topic I want to do. We're doing that next segment. Sammy Arnell here with us. Later in the show, Dennis Bernstein from thefourthperiod.com and SiriusXM NHL Radio to talk about a couple of big stories going on there with some individual achievements. One that took place and another that is on the horizon. We'll get into that, as well as a couple of other items from the first month or first few weeks of the season around the league. But Sammy Arnell, everybody loves leftovers. Everybody, you go through the weekend, you got food, it's sitting in the fridge, you get to Tuesday, you're like, oh, I got to eat that before it goes bad. That's what we do on Tuesdays on the show, our NFL leftovers for week 8 around the league. We didn't touch on it yesterday. Let's get it out of the way. And you feel terrible about it. This Cam Scatterbo injury is just awful. We all saw it on Sunday. It's one of these plays where a guy gets, the leg goes one way, the ankle goes the other. It just isn't pretty. And you really feel for Cam Scatterbo and this Giants team that, and I wonder, does it provide a reprieve now to get to the football side of this? And there is. Does it provide a reprieve for Brian Daboll when he loses Malik Neighbors in the same season that he loses Cam Scatterbo? He's switching quarterbacks. Is it going to be the scapegoat for Brian Daboll to keep his job with the Giants, Sam?
Brian Daboll's job was safe the day he beat the Philadelphia Eagles in New York. That was the game where Mr. Mara decided, all right, I'm sold. This guy, we're doing something here. We got something here. But yes, it furthers that notion 100%, Jason, because guess what? You've got a star running back now in New York. You've got a star wide receiver in New York. And you've got a quarterback who looks like he might be pretty good in New York. And Brian Daboll knows what it takes to develop quarterbacks in the National Football League. See Josh Allen, the reigning MVP. So yeah, I'm believing in him. I'm believing in Daboll. I'm believing in Brian at this point in New York. I think that this is his job, Jason. And I think that he is the guy who is going to lead the Giants back to regular relevance.
Are we sold on Denver yet? If I'm not sold on Indianapolis, can I possibly be sold on Denver? Probably not. It would be contradictory. But now you've seen over basically the last 5 quarters, this Denver Bronco offense sort of wake up. Now, granted, 4 of those quarters are against the Dallas Cowboys, which is like playing a Division II defense right now. My God, they can't stop anything right now, that Cowboys team. And as much as Jerry Jones may have wanted to wish upon a star that some way, somehow, this team could still be a playoff team, that, the guys are pumped up and trying to rally the troops, that Cowboys team isn't going anywhere with a defense that is giving up as much as they are giving up, Sam.
Yes, since week 1, this team has not given up less than 30 points. That's crazy. Remember when we came on this show after they opened the season against the Eagles and they played all zone coverage for that game? And I was like, well, hey, if they do that all season long, we might actually have something in this Cowboys team. Yeah, they didn't do that all season long. Spoiler alert. This team is lost. I don't know what to say, what they can do to try and regain that. But at the end of the day, I don't know if I want that. Like, it's a fun watch. The Cowboys games are a fun watch right now. And if that's all Jerry needs them to be so that he can sell tickets and get to next year, I'm fine with it because I'll just keep betting the over.
Yeah. I think that's a fair thing to do. Bet the over whenever the Cowboys are playing. I got to come at you a little bit on this one. You thought that the Browns were going to give Drake May a lot of trouble. They didn't give him any trouble.
Oh, my gosh.
New England hangs up 32 on that Browns defense, despite Myles Garrett having 5 sacks in that game and then losing his mind late in the game. And I don't know if he was losing his mind because he wanted to be on the field to get a 6th sack or because he had 5 sacks and the team still gave up 32 points. I'm not sure which ultimately it was. Either way, you could understand his frustration. At the same time, he was willing to take the bag from the team. So my sympathy quotient for Myles Garrett is a little bit less. You've chosen to stay there and make your bed in Cleveland. Good luck with that.
Yes, Dylan Gabriel's horrible. I'm sorry. It had to be said. Dylan Gabriel was horrible in this game.
Yes, he was.
Absolutely awful. And Jason, I know everybody who loves Drake May. Oh, he put up 32 points against the Browns defense. Dylan Gabriel gave them 2 drives that started inside their 10 that resulted in touchdowns. So in reality, I'm going to say Drake May put up, quick math, 18 points on that Browns defense, which isn't really that impressive. Dylan Gabriel is horrible. I can't say it enough. He looked so bad in this game. I'm not a Shador guy. They need to start Shador coming out of the bye.
Well, yesterday, Kevin Stefanski asked about that very thing, I think from our friend Mary Kay Cabot, who has come on the show before. Real quick, this is what Kevin Stefanski said when asked about it yesterday.
Why wouldn't you, just to see if it does anything to the offense, give him an opportunity to go in there and play?
Yeah, obviously my focus is where we are right now, Mary Kay. That's not my focus.
Okay.
That sounds like a guy that has no idea what he's doing with that team right now. When your answer is basically, oh, we're just kind of staying in the moment. We're just sticking with this guy. The only thing I could think of is Stefanski was never a Shador guy, never wanted him, didn't want them to draft him, and now he's saddled with him, and he's basically saying to management and ownership, I don't care if you drafted this guy, I don't think he's worth, the uniform he's wearing, and I'm not putting him on the field. Fire me if you want to fire me. That's essentially what it feels like Stefanski is doing here, Sam.
I agree with you. And I mean, you and I talked about this the day after Shador went in the 5th round. It felt a lot like Jimmy Haslam walked down into that draft room and said, all right, we're taking this guy. And now Stefanski, a 2-time coach of the year, is stuck with him.
Drake May, 18 of 24 for 282, 3 touchdowns in the win. And by the way, some quick MVP notes as it relates to the season. We talked about Patrick Mahomes earlier in the show and the season he's having. He's actually your MVP favorite right now at plus 150, Sam. I just wanted to get these in real quick before we wrap up the segment. Josh Allen is 4-1. Then Drake May at plus 450. I mean, that is mind-boggling to think that Drake May right now has the 3rd best MVP odds in the National Football League. And then there's a huge drop-off where you get to Jonathan Taylor, who's at plus 1,400. Jordan Love's 14-1. Jared Goff at 16-1. Where's Daniel Jones on this list? How does Daniel Jones not have better odds? I don't think he should win. But the fact that he's not at least being considered more, he's 20-1. And as I said yesterday on the show, there is 0 chance, 0, of Jonathan Taylor winning this award. They're never giving it to a running back. We're coming back. Welcome back. Tomorrow, Kurt Heelan on the show to talk about actual NBA games and things going on. Diana Rossini on the show tomorrow as well. Looking forward to that. So I watched with great interest over the last several days here, last 3-4 days, Sam, the way that the sports world has been reacting to the little dribs and drabs of extra news that have come out on this sports betting NBA controversy that's out there, whether it's the new names that have been added to who was playing in some of these poker games that were reeling in fish, and who were, the faces that were brought in. Antonio Gates' name was mentioned. There might have been one or two others that have been mentioned. Kevin Garnett, yes. Anything is possible, including playing in a rigged poker game for Kevin Garnett. Just saying. So, but what I've been most interested to see is how some of these sports leagues are handling the aftermath of this, whether it's Adam Silver. And I got to take Adam Silver to task on something. 2 years ago, you had a prominent poker pro out there saying, I have been invited to play in these games with Chauncey Billups that are rigged. Not saying it privately, saying it loud and clear in a podcast. And yet it took this long. Now the NBA is concerned about this stuff. Clearly the NBA knew that this sort of stuff, these types of nefarious intentions behind some of these poker games. They knew this stuff was taking place. And now that the FBI has made arrests and they have their allegations and everybody's going to get their day in court, now we're starting to see this video pop up again of this poker pro talking about being invited and did not play in these poker games with Chauncey Billups that were clearly rigged, that they would come to find out were clearly rigged. And now you've got the NFL going, oh, God, we're outraged. We can't believe this was happening. Well, you knew it was happening. I don't think it's simply enough for Adam Silver to sit there and feign outrage over what has taken place or alleged to have taken place here. And I think he has to be taken to task because some of this is on him because it's happening under his watch. I'm curious to get your thoughts. And every other league now that's jumping in and saying, we've got to warn our players, we have to do this. Now you're starting to hear talks about, might we have to start putting limits when it comes to, sports betting? And you're starting to hear that. And I know you're going to have a reaction to that, which was really half of the reason I wanted to bring up this segment, was just to wind you up and watch you go on the idea of maybe more regulation having to be put in than there already is when it comes to sports betting. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
I mean, what have I said on this show for years? What did I say on this show when the indictments first came down, man? Well, what is the answer to all this? It's the answer to every use of any vice that we currently use in America. Same as, drinking or, nicotine or whatever, or, legalized cannabis, right? Like, as long as you have strict regulation and like the rules are strict about what these companies can do, where they can do it, how they can do it, and when they can do it, you're going to be living in the Wild West, which is where we currently find ourselves in the sports gambling scape. I mean, so yeah, I said the day of the indictments that the solution in my mind was to limit, if you put limits on these stupid, meaningless NBA props that these guys end up putting down tens of thousands of dollars aside on and profiting just as much. That's step one. But I think it goes back to the point that I've made again, like since I started coming on this show, Jason, 2.5 years ago, it all draws back to the advertising and how you see these gambling companies everywhere. Freaking Bill Simmons, and I'm not the one on this show, all due respect to you, Jason Page, to call out other people in the media because I don't have the standing to. But Bill Simmons, on his podcast, breaking down all the controversy in the NBA and all the gambling controversy around it, takes a advertising break to read a FanDuel ad and talk about why you need to bet this parlay in the NBA tonight. It's like the jokes write themselves at this point. If you limit the advertising and the money that these companies can spend trying to bring new people in, you'll do a couple of things, right? You'll force these companies to want to cater to the people that want to spend more money with them. Generally, those tend to be the stupider, richer people who don't know a lot about sports, but just want to feel something in their spare time. And you'll also force these companies to spend more money on internal protections so that we don't have to worry about crap like this happening, so that there are more filters on who's making an account with DraftKings rather than just trying to get everybody to sign up for one. It's the most enraging thing to me, Jason, because it seems like there's the simplest solution, and now you've got commissioners getting called in front of Congress and sports leagues getting ready to crumble all at the hands of it.
Let's limit it after they give us our money first. By the way, let's wait until can we get our bag before you scream on this television show that's going out over 270 stations in 2 countries? Let's wait until they give us our money, then you can limit it. Give me like a year, Sam. Give me a year of them not limiting it, and then we'll be okay. It'll probably
brought
take
to you
that
by
long.
Bet365. Sign up today using our promo code SportsWrap.
There you go. There is no real code, by the way. Don't go and do that. You'll get an error code, and then you'll blame us. I just, like I said, it has been funny to watch here over the last few days. Very interesting to watch, and we'll continue to follow it wherever it goes. Whatever shoe drops next, we'll be there to pick it up. We got a lot more to do on the show. Dennis Bernstein is here, waiting in the virtual green room from the fourthperiod.com and SiriusXM NHL Radio. Alex Ovechkin, Sidney Crosby in the news, and for good reasons. We'll get to it next. All right, we keep things moving. Odds and ends 10 minutes from now to wrap up the show. The Spurs are 4-0. And Wemby MVP odds? Oh my God. He was 22-1 before the season started. I mean, like the day before the season started. Wait until you hear the odds on Victor Wembanyama to win the NBA's most valuable player. That is coming up. Let's talk some hockey. Bring in our friend Dennis Bernstein from thefourthperiod.com, SiriusXM NHL Radio. You can catch him there as well, who joins us on the program. A couple things I want to get to before we get to sort of your top line items around the league through the first few weeks of the season. One, it is mind-boggling to think that we're talking about Alex Ovechkin approaching his 900th goal. He scored 899 a couple days ago, and approaching 900 goals. Dennis, try and put it into some perspective. If there's another sport you compare it to, like, is there anything to compare it to?
Yeah, I would think. Well, didn't Peyton Manning set a record for touchdown passes in one season? I mean, I think that will be it. But from it's right up there with 714. Like, here's the question, Jay: can he go to 1,000?
Yes.
Is that a plateau he might want to reach? If he has a big year, let's say he gets 40, that would put him at about 940. If he played 2 more seasons, could he get there? Maybe. I don't think that's the case because, breaking Gretzky's record is the only legacy he really needed to care about. But with respect to that, it's an incredible number that nobody could ever fathom 20 years ago would ever happen.
Maybe the one is LeBron breaking Kareem's all-time scoring record. Maybe it's that. To me, that's the only thing I can kind of put it with is and it's this sort of number that, and I know records are made to be broken. Nobody's breaking that number, Dennis.
No, and it's because of the physicality, and because I think of the money too. If you're that great of a player,
yes,
you're not going to play till you're 41 to try to get 901 goals or whatever. Yep. So I don't. This is an unbreakable record at this point. I'm pretty comfortable saying that.
How about Sidney Crosby, 1,700th career point? The ninth, only the ninth player all time to do it.
Yeah, and I think the 4th player to do it all with one team, and he's about to pass again. These are iconic players, Jay, because he's going to pass Mario Lemieux soon in that record. I think Mario's got 1722 or 1723. So he's going to pass it this season. He's playing great hockey. He's got 7 goals, 7 assists. That's 14 points in 10 games.
They're 7-2. I mean, they're 7-2.
90 points. Yep. And he's going to play 19 minutes a game at 38 years old. He's winning 52% of his faceoffs. Again, another iconic player that we should be grateful we can still see and who's still competing at that elite level.
Dennis, is that one of the early season surprises for you?
Oh, no, quite the Penguins? Yeah. The Penguins are going to be the one team that were supposed to be bad this year. Like they had designed. If you look at their defense, there's no way this team should be 7-2-1 yet. Sid's been great. Junior's really helped out. They've gotten goaltendings on some nights. Other nights they outscore their mistakes. But this is a total shock. They should be 2-7-1 with that lineup, not 7-2-1.
The Canadians at 7-3 atop the Atlantic, but now without Patrick Lane for a while, lower body injury. Yeah. How big of a loss is that for this team?
It hurts the power play. It doesn't really hurt the team overall. I think a 60-minute effort, they can manage without him, but they're building something really special, I think, in Montreal. This is not an anomaly. They closed with a rush last year. They made the 8th playoff spot. They gave Washington a little bit of push in the playoffs. But this team's getting better and better. But it's still a shock to the top of the division. You would think teams like maybe Florida or Toronto would be there. It's an early season surprise, but it may not be a surprise that they're going to be in the playoffs for the second consecutive season, Jay.
One more from the East, and then I got to get out to the West. My God, the Rangers are bad. I mean, man, wow, what do you know? You change the head coach and nothing changes.
Yeah, and then the coach that they put in place in Pittsburgh, 7-2-1, they've got the absolute. They can't score goals. They look like an old, slow team that is a little bit disinterested. So I think the mix of players that Chris Drury put together, and I really like Mike Sullivan. I think he's a great coach. You know, his time ended in Pittsburgh. He's going to catch the Olympic team, but it's a bad mix of players right now. And the question is, what do they do with Panarin? He's unrestricted at the end of the season. If the team is going to be near the bottom of the division, bottom of the conference, and not making the playoffs, you may have to trade him come the trade deadline, which would be a stunning development.
I know you love what Utah is doing in building a franchise there. 8-2, 16 points on the season, a fast start for the Mammoth.
Yeah. Young team, fast team, exciting team. No shock that the one cool owner in this league who wears baseball cap, backwards baseball caps and sweatshirts on all his interviews built together a really nice team. They were building something last year, Jay. They should have made the playoffs last year, but they're actualizing their potential right now with respect to their team. Dylan Gunther's really good. Logan Cooley. They're getting great goaltending as well. So it's not a surprise at the top of the division. Do I think they're going to win the Central? No, that's a group of death. You still have Colorado. You still got Winnipeg. I think Minnesota's in trouble, but Utah, I think they're going to be in the top 8 this year. We'll see if they can win the division, but maybe even top 3 in the Central, which is the hardest division in hockey.
Yeah, they lead the West right now in goals scored with 37 through their first 10 games. All right, my Las Vegas Golden Knights. Tell me something good about them right now. Obviously, leaders in the Pacific at 5-1 on the season.
Yeah, it's a long season. They're having injury issues. Aiden Hill's out. Now, this new goalie they put in the other night in Tampa, Cole Lindbaum, did nice. He did really, really good. They lost in overtime. So it's a long season, and they'll get the guys back from injury.
The whole West is such a beast, though. It really is.
It is a beast.
It's kind of like the NBA. We're running the gauntlet in the West is so tough.
Yeah, and Edmonton's starting slow again, which is no surprise. So, yeah, there's a lot of good teams. There's probably 10 really good teams in the West, so you can have 1 or 2 teams on the outside looking in when we get to Game 82. But, yeah, you got to like Utah's shot. But, yeah, Vegas, look, I saw Marner and Eichel play. Eichel could lead the league in scoring. He could be the Hart Trophy winner to the MVP in the NHL this year. He's going to be that good. My concern with this team is obviously with Aiden Hill, goaltending, and the defense is kind of old, and they miss Petro big time.
Dennis Bernstein, SiriusXM NHL Radio on thefourthperiod.com. Thank you, my friend.
Always a pleasure, Jay.
Just about time to put the wraps on this baby for a Tuesday. Before we go, a couple of reminders. If you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page podcast. It's available on all your favorite podcasting platforms. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube Podcasts, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Odyssey, Amazon, you name it. Anywhere you get a podcast, you can listen to this show, all 45 minutes of it, Monday through Friday. Also, if you have not done so yet, make sure to subscribe to the Sports Wrap with Jason Page YouTube channel. Listen, folks, this is the place to be for all things Sports Wrap. The TV show is there Monday through Friday, commercial-free, all 45 minutes of it. We also have Sports Wrap Shorts, which if you have not caught on yet, you are missing out. Sports Wrap Shorts are available on our YouTube channel. They're also available on TikTok and Instagram, Sports Wrap Jason Page. If you're looking for Instagram and TikTok, the kids love the gram, the kids love the TikTok, so I've decided to put Sports Wrap Jason Page there. Those are the handles for that. You'll see them on the screen as well. So, without any further delay on this Tuesday edition of the program, we have made it through, despite all staying up late last night to watch the Dodgers and the Blue Jays play that 18-inning affair. It's time for some odds and ends. Odds and ends, Sam Yarnell. Don't be bitter, Aroldis Chapman. I mean, really? Saying that he'd retire, even if he was dead, he doesn't want to go back to the Yankees. Let's remember something. And I get, playing in New York can be tough. But let's remember something about Aroldis Chapman, please. Wasn't this a guy that, missed a game because he was getting a tattoo and he couldn't pitch because he had a tattoo on his arm? Isn't this the guy that the Yankees kept, despite a domestic violence issue, where I think he pled no contest to it? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I'm sure somebody will. But this is the same Aroldis Chapman that the Yankees stood by when a lot of teams would have just kicked him to the curb after his DV issue. I don't want to hear Aroldis Chapman now that he's in Boston and he's actually figured out how to locate a fastball. I don't want to hear Aroldis Chapman with all these sour grapes about pitching for the Yankees, Sam.
So you're telling me the New York Yankees are an organization that are not able to personally resonate with their players? Shocker. Not really. Yeah, did you not? Was I the only one that was there when a $800 and however many $1 million free agent left the Bronx because they wouldn't give his family a suite? This is their MO. They don't treat their players kindly. Aaron Judge had to go through a contract holdout for half of an offseason just to get the captaincy for this organization. And this is a guy who had tied Maris's home run record. But
I don't want to hear it from Aroldis Chapman. I get it for what I'm not saying anything you're saying is untrue. But for Aroldis Chapman, of all people, to be the guy to bitch and moan and whine about how he was treated in New York, when they gave him every opportunity to keep that closer job. And he was just terrible at the end. He was. There's no getting around it. He was not good.
But that is not and I'm not saying you're incorrect. I'm saying that his terribleness is going to be, looking at Aroldis Chapman's career, much harder to blame on Aroldis Chapman than, again, looking at the recent history of the Yankees. It is easy to blame on the Yankees and the culture that they foster in New York right now. Aroldis Chapman is a guy who is, quite frankly, one of the 10 best closers of all time. Aroldis Chapman's a guy who's been to multiple cities and had success in every one. Aroldis Chapman's a guy who's won multiple championships in multiple different cities. So when he struggles, you don't generally think, the first thought is not, oh, Aroldis Chapman is struggling. It's, oh, this team may not be poised for the most success.
Sam, the San Antonio Spurs are 4-0 after a win last night against the Toronto Raptors, who some people think could be a playoff team in the East. Wemby, 7 of 8 shooting, 10 of 10 from the line, 24 points, 15 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, and a block on the night for Wemby. He was a plus 35. Get those Wemby MVP votes or MVP bets in right now, Sam. I'm telling you, I know it's early, but by the way, second best odds now to win the MVP. Shea at plus 170 and Victor at plus 310. So now the price is too low. Can't even bet on him anymore.
I mean, my gosh, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander at plus 170 this early in the season, 4 games into the season. That's mind-boggling.
Yeah, it
is. The underrated thing about the Spurs to me, though, is their young core is finally coming together. I mean, you look at what Stephon Castle is doing, building off of what he did last season. He looks great still in that offense. Dylan Harper is looking great, producing at a double-digit point per game clip so far this season. And obviously, Devin Vassell is going to be what he is. This is a Spurs team that is congealing around Wemby the exact way that the organization wanted them to, and that's the most promising thing for me in a very competitive Western Conference early on in this season.
And look, they've still got somebody who's coming back, the guy that they got from the Kings. What's his name? Oh my God, it's escaping me. The guy they traded for late last season. Spurs, guard.
Harrison Barnes?
Not Harrison Barnes. My God.
De'Aaron Fox.
De'Aaron Fox, thank you.
Those were the two pieces in the Kings trade last year.
De'Aaron Fox is still coming to this team. And they're 4-0 right now. That's a scary team out there in the West right now. And they're probably a year early as far as I'm concerned, but not a team I want to play. Nope. Especially with Wemby, who's a human cheat code. Rest in peace, Nick Mangold. Terrible news from the weekend. We knew he was looking for a kidney transplant. Passes away at the age of 41. Just an awful story. Rest in peace, Nick Mangold, a rare kidney disease taking his life. That's going to do it for us. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Dennis Bernstein. We'll see you all back here tomorrow. Hi there. I'm Jason Page. You like what you're watching? Subscribe. We've got SportsWrap shorts on this channel. We've got the show. We've got clips from the show. What else do you have to do? You probably follow a lot of other things that aren't half of they're not half as exciting as this show is. So what are you waiting for? Click the subscribe button, follow the channel, watch the content. Bye.